We told you a story about the country's first jury trial in a criminal case being held via Zoom right here in Texas. This is down in Travis County, and we came up with some questions about the logistics of it, whether it's a good idea, whether or not it's even constitutional. So joining us now to talk about this a little bit, Dallas attorney Quentin Brogdon from Crain, Lewis, and Brogdon. Good morning, Quentin.
Good morning, David Scott. I understand Amy's on vacation.
Yes, she is.
A much deserved vacation. After all this COVID stuff, I feel like everyone's looking for a vacation.
Nobody gets more vacation than Amy.
Yeah,
and
true.
Then we have 3 weeks of furlough. Besides, let's just move on.
Yeah.
Anyway, she'll be back next week, and we're looking forward to it. Anyway, Quentin, we were talking about this story. Now, this was a misdemeanor trial, and I gather that it was kind of intended as a test. What can you tell us? What do you know about this, and what did you think about it?
Well, you had a nurse, Katie Cornwall. She was charged with the heinous crime of misdemeanor speeding, 51 and a 35. The state said it was in a construction zone. No jail time or prison time was going to be possible, even if convicted here. And she ultimately was convicted. But, the question is, would you agree to a Zoom trial if you were on trial for murder with prison time possible? I think most of us would not. But this was a low-risk case, and she agreed with the state to do this by Zoom. And so you had a fully, in-person and non-in-person trial, first in the state, first in the nation, probably first in the world, fully virtual trial from voir dire, which is just a fancy lawyer word for jury selection, to the verdict. And she said, I wasn't speeding because I didn't know it was a construction zone. The deputy's own body cam didn't show construction signs and construction workers present. The jurors kind of split the baby. They said she was speeding, but it was not in a construction zone, and therefore her fines weren't doubled, but she had to pay some fines.
I mean, I'm amazed that the jury even paid attention enough to even, make a decision on this case, because my biggest question surrounding the idea of jury trials is, how do you make sure that a juror remains attentive and responsible
or
when they're
even present? Yeah,
that you could put a Zoom background up that makes it look like you're there. I mean, how would a court keep them in the right state of mind during a trial like this?
That's a great question. The judge here, he was a justice of the peace, Nicholas Chu. He admonished the jurors. He gave them some special admonitions. Don't text or email, which jurors are always told, but don't go to Google, don't take phone calls, don't watch TV, don't have distractions, don't even step away from your computer for a drink of water. And this was, live streamed on YouTube, and I think at one point maybe 100,000 people were watching this trial. But it's a concern even in an in-person trial down at the courthouse to keep jurors focused and to ensure you have their undivided attention. As you can imagine, I think one of the jurors, her cat was running behind her, and she's turning to look at her cat while the trial's going on. And one of the jurors, the judge had to, basically remind them, hey, we need you to be paying attention. But it's one of a number of problems with Zoom trials. We're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. We need to keep the wheels of justice turning, but you don't have jury pools that are as diverse because not everybody has access to a computer and high-speed internet. You can't ensure you have their undivided attention, and you lose some very important chemistries. The lawyer and the jurors, the client and the jurors, the witness and the jurors. And then jurors, when they get together in the jury deliberation room, they have a very important chemistry when they deliberate. And you lose all of that by online trial.
Final question, Quentin. Is this legal? Is it something that's left up to individual jurisdictions?
Well, they're experimenting right now, and these parties agreed. But when you're charged with a crime, you have a constitutional right to confront the witnesses. And there's been a bunch of case law. An example, with children accusing people of sexual crimes, young children, and if that's just videotaped and you can't cross-examine or other statements are videotaped, there's been some concerns raised whether that's constitutional or whether if you put someone on trial and threaten them with prison, whether a videotaped confession or statement whether you're depriving them of the right of confrontation, for instance. So I, for one, would not want to be facing penalty of prison and have that, hanging over me in a Zoom trial. Nor would I want to be suing my doctor for medical malpractice in a Zoom trial where I had the burden of proof. I think you lose a lot potentially.
Yeah, we agree with you, I think, on that. But thank you so much for your time this morning. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
Well, good morning, Dave and Scott. We'll be watching this. I think we'll be seeing more of these Zoom trials. There's one set in Bexar County, later this month. It's a civil trial, but it's going to be accelerating, and we'll all be watching to see. And we just need to be careful we don't trample people's rights as we move forward.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again. There's Quentin Brogdon, Dallas attorney.